words. They don't just communicate thoughts. They reveal the hidden things in our hearts. They don't just communicate ideas. They create worlds. The mouth and the words we say are a creative force that is not only used all the time, but everywhere we go. Our words are the very essence of how the Creator made us. Join us as we discover the essence of man and the power of speech.
Hello, welcome to the Essence of Man and Power of Speech. We're on day 134, and today we're going to talk about scoffing equals arrogance. Another root cause of evil speech is arrogance. Now, we've kind of alluded to this in a few other episodes, but the Talmud, and I want to read some stuff out of Talmud again, states in that there are four groups of things that will keep us from the divine presence of God. Now, I already told you scoffing is one of those things, but notice the connection here. One, scoffers. 2, flatterers. 3, liars. And then the fourth one is habitual speakers of Lashon Hora. And so these four things keep us from experiencing God's divine presence. Let me read you something. Now, this is out of the Shofetz Chaim book, Essence of Man and the Power of Speech. One who wishes to purify his soul of arrogance should forever ponder the shamefulness of this bitter sin. How can a man be arrogant when he was created from a putrid drop and will ultimately go to a place of dust, worms, and maggots? Think about that. One should also ponder the severity of his sin, which is the one of the 365 negative commandments as is written, and your heart will become haughty, and you will forget Hashem your God, Deuteronomy 8:14. And take care lest you forget Hashem your God. Same verse. Scoffing is produced by arrogance. And this is the thing. Again, when you look at what scoffing is, it means to call someone stupid, or they're just silly. Again, they're outside of your circle, so to speak. So to you, it's stupid. It's funny, in people's quest for fame, they have this idea of what fame should be. They have this idea of what success should be, and in the process, they call people stupid. Or you can have certain people that are in such desire of fame and even fortune that they belittle people who can't help them in their success. For instance, if you don't dress right, look right, live in the right house, have the right car, then you're not deemed a successful person. And so you have a tendency to scoff those kind of people. There's two stories I want to tell you. One is this. The Millionaire Next Door. It's a very interesting book, and what they did was they took what the deal was, they had to come up with, they wanted to find out who really was a millionaire, and what they did was they asked people to come up with $1 million. They had to come up with it, I think, in 24, 48 hours. And if you could come up with $1 million cash, then you were a legitimate millionaire. Well, to their surprise, it wasn't the people that were driving the Mercedes or the BMWs or, you know, wearing the Rolex watches and living in the $1 million homes that were millionaires. Actually, it was the opposite. It was people that drove around in used cars who had JCPenney suits and back then Timex watches, and who owned their own small business, lived in the same house for a long time. They were givers and tithers. These people could come up with $1 million. These other people were so far in debt over the houses, over the cars, and over the image of what fame was. And many times, how many times have you known people be looked down because maybe they weren't wearing the right suit or the right shoes, or maybe their car wasn't the best car, but yet they themselves had probably more than other people, but yet they were the ones looked down on. Fame can do that. The second story I want to tell you is about a friend that actually got me into doing orchestrations. Glenn Burley, probably one of the most phenomenal musicians I've ever met. Very influential. And yet I didn't know him very long, but he was very influential. He passed away, but we had some very interesting conversations, and you would have never known Glenn was this famous musician. Never would have known it. I watched this guy literally write incredible orchestrations, just sitting, you know, someplace backstage, and or at a Mexican, he liked Mexican food, and he would, and his, you know, he didn't have leather briefcases, he didn't have, you know, any kind of major clothing, you know, he was just tennis shoes, his shirt was untucked and wrinkled, and his briefcase was Walmart paper or Walmart plastic sacks. You know, that's what he kept his sheet music in, and his pencils. Now, to anybody else, he also had this fanny pack. He had this fanny pack, and to anybody else, he would probably, you know, look like just some guy off the street or just a regular, ordinary guy. But yet, I used to laugh because people would kind of look at him, because he kind of favored Grady a little bit off Sanford and Son, and people would look at him sometimes and they didn't know the value of Glenn. And sometimes I'd pick him up. He rode on Amtrak, and I would pick him up, and he would talk, and we would talk for a while. And there was all this wealth of information and wisdom and humility, but to anybody else, they would have never known. And there was a period of times when people that were seeking to be famous in music had no idea what they had sitting before them was a genius who conducted orchestras for the White House on 4th of July, who conducted orchestras around the United States, and phenomenal piano player. And this is my point. People who seek fame tend to shun the people who actually know something. They scoff at people because of the way they look, or the way they dress, or maybe even the way they act. And that's nothing but an arrogant trait. And what this does, it makes God do one of these things. You know, God resists the proud, but he gives grace to the humble, and it makes God want to kind of turn his hand away from us. And so, again, I'm going to read Deuteronomy 8:14. And your heart will become haughty, and you will forget Hashem, your God. So the next thing is, when a person becomes arrogant, they begin to forget God. So, yeah. Dangerous thing. But we can change. All right? Hey, we'll see you next time on The Essence of Man, the Power of Speech. Have a good one.